Hi, y'all. Just gonna give it a few more minutes as we wait for board members to join. Hang tight. Okay, I believe we have enough board members, and all the staff I see is here. So Vice Chair Ledger, whenever you are ready.
Okay, thank you so much, Christina. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Francoise Darastel Ledger, and I am Vice Chair of the Hartford Board of Education, and I welcome you to today's Committee of the Whole. Today is August 8th, 2024, and I would like to just go through introductions of who you are and what your role is, and we can popcorn it off. So I will popcorn it off to Janelle Hooker.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Janelle Hooker, and I am the Acting Executive Director of Strategic Partnerships and Fund Development for the district. I will popcorn to Chief Davis Gooch.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sherry Davis Gooch. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Hartford Public Schools. I will popcorn it off to Board Member Walker.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Tyrone Walker. I'm Second Vice Chair of the Hartford Board of Education, and welcome.
And who are you going to popcorn it off to?
I just felt like, oh, I guess I have to send it to someone. I will send it to my colleague, Board Member Fortune.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ruth Fortune. I am a member of the board of for this Board of Ed for the Hartford School District, and I have 2 children in the school district, and I will pass it on to the superintendent.
Hello, good people. Leslie Torres Rodriguez, superintendent. Nice to see you all. And I'm gonna tag Mr. Corey. Let's see. Corey, do I see you here? Corey Mills? Okay.
All right. So, hi, everybody. I'm Corey Mills, Secretary of the Board of Ed. I do not sound as pleasant or happy as the superintendent, so my apologies. But I will popcorn it to fellow board member Stephen Tatum.
Good evening, everyone. Stephen Tatum, Board of Ed member. I'll popcorn it to someone that I don't know, Eddie Wazowski.
Hi, good evening. Eddie Wadowski, project manager with Tecton Architects here in Hartford. And in the interest of staying with a consistent theme, I'll send it over to Jeff.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jeff Wazinski. I'm a principal at Tecton Architects. Happy to be here tonight, and I'm going to popcorn it over to Antonia. This is kind of fun.
This is great. Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Antonia Ciavarella, and I'm an architectural designer with Tecton Architects. And I'm going to popcorn it to Judy Denny.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Judy Denny, and I'm the program manager for the Hartford TSKP Kennelly project, and I'm going to popcorn it over to Scott Pellman.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Scott Pellman. I'm an associate director with Colliers Project Leaders, your owner's project manager, working directly with Judy, and I will popcorn it off to Paul Drummy.
Hey, good evening, everyone, or good afternoon. Paul Drummy, the Director of Capital Projects and Operations for the City of Hartford, as well as the Chairman of the Hartford School Building Committee. I will popcorn it over to, I'm not certain who's left, Mr. Foster. Paul
Good
to Paul.
evening. Yes, Paul Foster, Deputy Superintendent for Administration and Operations, and I will pass it to Dr. Ratley.
I think we should make Stephen Wilson go next.
Good afternoon, everyone. Stephen Wilson, board member, and I will popcorn it off to whoever would like to go next if you haven't been called yet.
Christina Santiago, board liaison. This is actually a good game because you have to figure out who went and who didn't. I think, is that everyone?
I think
Besides,
Jen's not included.
Oh, and Jen. Jennifer Hockenho, our board chairperson, who I think might be doing double duty. So
I think someone by the last name of Drummy might still be left as well.
No,
Not
that's
sure.
just Paul's phone because, you know, City
Oh,
Hall
yeah.
is weird like that.
Okay, Paul's on in 2 devices, okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Oh, there's Deputy Ratley. I think she's the last one to introduce herself.
Yes, my apologies. Been here doing other things, but I'm here. Dr. Condra Ratley. I serve as the Deputy Superintendent for Schools and Academic Excellence.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, and welcome. And Christina, can you please share the agenda?
sure. Get that up.
Thank you so much. And we really have one item on the agenda, which is the approval of Phase 2 construction of Kennelly School, and I will pass this on to our superintendent.
Thank you, Ms. Dersto Ledger. And before I turn it over to Chief Davis Googe, just to kind of frame it a little bit, and really, Chief Davis Googe, to ask that you, before going into the details as to the project, just give a high-level overview of the timeline relative to Kennelly, given that there were some delays in the project and shifting of the timelines. And I know that we heard some name introductions, but if we can just double click on that a little bit and just give not only our board members, but our audience just a little more background as to the key roles and responsibilities relative to the architect, the project construction managers. And at the end, if you don't mind, after we're done talking about this agenda item, if maybe a 1-minute update as to the request that we had last time as to Wish School and a small groundbreaking ceremony for that community, given all of the involvement that we've made sure we wanted to have with that community.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. It's funny because that was the way we planned to tie all the pieces together, was through the introduction. So absolutely. What I will do, Superintendent, is ask Scott Pellman when we get to him to do a brief overview of the Kennelly timeline. I'm not sure if we included that piece in the presentation. So again, I'm Sherry Davis Googe. I'm the Chief Operating Officer. I'm here with the team that partners with the districts on our school projects. Again, by way of introductions, we hope to connect the dots on all the parties that are committed to the renovation of our schools and those who are specifically dedicated to the Kennelly School project. So I'm just going to do a quick overview, Superintendent and Ms. Santiago. I know we talked about figuring out how to have a discussion that takes the board members under a deeper dive of all the projects. So we can figure that out, but today we needed to highlight Kennelly to keep it on schedule. So I'm going to just start with a quick overview just to ground us in like the structure. So each project begins with the district identifying the schools in need, developing an educational specification for each school, and then we partner with the City of Hartford to secure funding to submit the application to the state of the Office of Grants Administration. The specifications we're talking about outlines the space programming and the needs of the school. And those documents are approved by the city. Well, they're actually approved by the Board of Ed, accepted by the city, and both the City Council and the Board of Ed approved the grant application to be submitted to the state of Connecticut. So I hope that's helpful just to frame how the projects move through the different agencies. So to begin, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Mr. Paul Drummey. He introduced himself earlier. He is the Director of Capital Projects and Operations, and he's also the Chair of the Hartford School Building Committee, which is the arm responsible for the management of school construction projects in the city of Hartford. Mr. Drummey.
Thank you, Chief Davis Googe. I appreciate you and appreciate everybody's time tonight. So the process, right? So after we go through the approvals, the city on massive projects like this need all the support we can get. So we go out and hire owners representation to help us guide through these enormous projects. And on this particular project, as well as Betances and Wish, we have Collier's project leaders assisting the city as owner's project manager to guide us through the hiring of the architect, the construction manager, the development of the plans, the coordination with the state for the funding, all of that. And this specific meeting, this agenda item is part of that process, right? So the state wants to know that the Board of Education has seen and understands where we are with every project that is going on within the district. So we have with us tonight the actual project manager, Collier's project leaders. We have Scott and Judy with us tonight. And then we also have the architect, the designer of record, to kind of guide us through of what's going to be submitted to the state. With that, I think it's a good time to kind of hand it over to Scott Pellman, the owner's project manager, to kind of give us a little more detail in what's next. Scott.
Thank you, Paul. Good evening, everyone. So just to get everybody up to speed of where we are, previously, you may recall that we came in front of this group once the design had gotten to a point where we understood what needed to be done. There was an early implementing phase. And you may have, if you've been by the site, you may have seen some construction starting on site already for what we call phase one. That was temporary classrooms, some site work, infrastructure work to allow temporary classrooms to be installed on site to get us ready for what we're going to talk about and what the design team is going to present to you this evening, which is phase two. So this group has already seen phase one. We've bid that work out. We're still working on procuring the temporary classrooms, and hopefully we'll see those being installed later this fall to be able to start construction. That phase was taken to the state of Connecticut, was approved to go out to bid. We've bid that out. We're still waiting for a couple of those, the bids on the temporary classrooms to come through, but the rest of that work is well underway. What's going to be presented by Tecton Architects, the design team this evening, is what we're calling phase two. Phase two is, in essence, all of the construction of the building. In the case of Kennelly, there's a building addition, as well as renovations of the entire Kennelly facility to meet the educational specifications that this board approved back when Chief Davis Googe discussed the process of submitting an ed spec to the state. So the product, the documents, the design that you see tonight has been vetted with administration and staff to following the ed spec to make sure that it meets all those educational requirements. So the design team is going to present that to you this evening. And then as part of the next step to take the drawings to the state of Connecticut to get approval for what we're calling this phase 2, to go out to bid. We're going to be bringing the drawings also to the building committee on August 19th. The building committee will approve the documents that evening. We'll be back in front of the full board at your meeting, I believe, on the 20th. Looking for a vote on the 20th to get the drawings approved. There's a document that gets signed then, the EDO 42, and that is the document that officially states that you have reviewed the documents and understand the program and where we're headed with this project. And that follows us to the state, and we're slated to start our review with the state on the 22nd of August. We anticipate then, with that approval, to be out to bid in sometime in September, probably late September, receiving the bids later this fall, proceeding right into construction, and then working with administration on the phase construction of the building, currently scheduled to be completed by the fall of 2027. If there are any questions on that summary of what the process is and where we are to date? And if not, Sherry and Paul, with your approval, we can turn it over to the architect. Oh, I'm sorry.
And yeah, I'm just trying to see if any hands are raised to ask any questions. If any of my fellow board members have any questions. I don't see any hands up, but I do have one quick question. With regards to the bidding process, are you opening this bid, or are you pretty much encouraging minority businesses to apply, or minority construction companies, if you will?
Absolutely. That's a huge part of the process. We recognize that and the need to have Hartford residents and minority businesses and enterprises engaged. I see Judy shaking her head. She's attended a number of meetings, outreach meetings to those groups. We're actively working with Downs Construction to make sure that all of our minority contractors are aware of the pending bids coming up, and encouraging them, actively encouraging them to make sure that they submit bids on this project.
Thank you so much. And what is the deadline for these particular specific bids, if you have that?
Yeah, the bids, the project is not out to bid yet. Again, we are doing this presentation, the architectural design team, to you this evening, to get your ultimate review and approval of the project on the 20th. We'll be going to the state. The state normally takes about a month to review and provide approval to go out to bid. So again, we anticipate being out to bid sometime in September. We don't have a firm date on that yet, but that will be, announced and advertised in detail, with outreach to, again, all of our minority vendors, to make sure they're aware of it, through the construction manager.
Thank you so much. And I see that the superintendent has her hand raised. Superintendent, you have the floor.
Thank you. Scott, what's the landscape looking like in terms of potential delays as you kind of forecast out?
We don't anticipate on the Kennelly project any delays at this time. I think that the critical step right now is going to be getting those temporary classrooms installed, which our understanding from the construction manager and their team anticipate it being installed by December of this year. The market has relaxed somewhat, so we have been working with the design and construction team, to identify and prioritize any of those long lead items. But at the moment, we're not anticipating any delays past the current schedule for the Kennelly project.
Thank you so much. And Superintendent, are you done, or do you have another question?
I am done with the question, more so like on an internal team, for us to just huddle, given that we haven't had this type of structure in a long time. And so just working with staff and family. So more of an internal dialogue. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And Board Member Secretary Mills, you have the floor. I see your hand raised.
Thank you very much. So I think this question is probably for Mr. Drummy over there. I guess I just have a question on the funding source and whether or not that's all set up and in place. My understanding of school budgets is that they are prone to some fluctuation the longer they occur. So I just want to make sure that the funding source is all set up and all ready to go.
Great question, Mr. Mills. So yes, we are funded at 95% from the state, and we also have our 5% share set aside from the city side as well. So the project to date is fully funded. We have gone through exercises to make sure that is the case, but at this moment we are in great shape budget-wise.
Thank you, as ever, Mr. Drummy.
Thank you so much. And Board Member Brody, I see your hand up. You have the floor.
I don't know if this is a question for Mr. Drummy, but could we just, because it's not specific to this project and how we deal with minority contractors from one project to the other, could we just describe the city ordinance, just describe how we do how we deal with minority contractors in regards to city projects? That might be helpful.
Sure. And I'm going to have Scott help me out here in a moment, but generally speaking, before we dive into percentages, is the city requires that the construction manager do the outreach to the local workforce and minority contractors. We do have a MWBE committee, which I sit on, Board Member Brody, and along with a few other members from the city, and we meet with the project team to make sure that they are in line with those certain percentages and that we meet the goals that are set forth. Scott, can you be a little more specific?
Yeah, and maybe Judy, you could also opine on this. As part of the outreach process, we have encouraged and worked with the minority contractors to make sure that they're on the certified list of contractors, to make sure that we're aware of them and that they get notified of the bidding process. And that's been, an ongoing process of reaching out to those contractors, identifying those contractors and working to get them registered on the list for the construction manager to use in part of the bidding process.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I believe Board Member Wilson, but you put your hand down. Do you still have a question or? Stephen Wilson, do you still have a question? I saw your hand go up.
Sorry, talking on mute. No, my question was answered. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And thank you. And you may continue.
Eddie, are you want to drive or do you need support?
No, I should be good, I think.
Okay.
Let's see if I have permission to share the screen. Looks like I do. All right, bear with me just 1 second. Okay. All right, hopefully everybody, just a quick test drive here. You can see my screen and you can see my hand moving around.
Yes.
Fantastic. All right, well, again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. My name is Eddie Wadowski, project manager with Tecton Architects here in Hartford. I will try to not repeat some of the things that have already been said, but just kind of touch on them just to, help make sure we're driving the point home. So, agenda for the presentation, we'll talk very briefly about what we've done or what we had shown the last time we spoke with you. We'll speak for the most part where we are today, talk a little bit about where we're headed, and then make sure there's plenty of time for questions and answers. And then, as I said, ultimately we're looking for, has been said, there's a form that the state has to see that the Board of Ed and the school building committee have reviewed the design for the school and they found it acceptable. So that's ultimately what we're going to be seeking when we meet with the two groups in a couple weeks. So very quickly, again, what we focused on last time we met was mostly on, as Scott described, the enabling work for the temporary classrooms. We talked about the existing building and some of the things that we found there, and basically what we took away from it is, what were the real needs as we move forward. We spoke briefly about what the site plan, the building plans, and very, very briefly, I think, on the exterior appearance of the building. So we're going to dive really into much more detail into all of that tonight. Since that time, we've continued to meet with the school principal, with district staff, all the various department heads, with facilities. We've worked with the OPM, the owner's project manager, with Colliers, and with our construction manager, Downs Construction, to ensure that everything is buildable for the budget allowed and is actually feasible for construction. So here
And
we are.
Eddie, I'm sorry,
Yes.
Eddie, just
Yeah.
to interrupt just for 1 second. I think it's important to note our meetings with the advisory committee.
Oh,
that
I'm
it's
sorry.
the-
Yes,
It's okay.
absolutely. Yeah, so we've also met with the advisory committee as well. Thank you, Sherry, for pointing that out. And that's a group that's made up of, it's chaired by one of the school building committee members, and then it consists of school staff, so the principal, some teachers, we have some parents, and then we have representatives from the local NRZ that have seen the design on a couple of occasions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so this is where we are, and we've kind of shaded out. We're, as you can see, we're really fairly far along on the design phase. When we come in to see, to meet with the state of Connecticut, they really want to see us coming in with essentially final drawings. Not to say that they won't have comments that we need to address and make some minor revisions to, but they want to see a set of documents that we feel is ready for contractors to put bids on. So as we mentioned, we have a date set up for August 22nd. That's going to start the review. As we said, that'll probably take a few weeks to get through, and we're hoping to be bidding in the fall and really starting construction as we get into the new year. So take you through the plans. All of the plan images that I will show you tonight, north is oriented the same way. It's always to the left, but I will try to not confuse you with cardinal directions and instead kind of point things out as we go. So as mentioned, this is an addition to the existing building. So you see the existing building shaded in gray and the new addition, which basically connects the north sides of the two wings and really provides, circulation, without dead ends throughout the building. And it also provides for a lot more, some larger spaces, which we'll talk about as we get into. So the project is bounded really by 3 streets, Cheshire Street up at the top on the east, White Street on the south, and Monroe Street on the west. Today, almost all of the traffic is on White Street, and it gets incredibly congested. There's only 1 lane going each way, and when the buses pull over, there's really nowhere there for them to go. So one of the big things we wanted to do was get some of that traffic off. We've created a bus drop-off lane to where the buses can actually pull out of traffic along Monroe Street. So to get them off of White Street and then get them out of the traffic is really going to help with congestion. The lot that's up here on along Cheshire Street is actually right now several feet down from the road. We are filling that area in. And what that is going to allow us to do is right now that you can only come in and out this way. So there's basically a dead end when you get to the end here. So what we're going to be able to do is parents will be able to enter this way. We're going to make this exit only, again, trying to reduce the congestion on White Street. And so we'll have a drop off at the main entrance so parents can drop off, pick up children there. And then we have diagonal parking, primarily for visitors, but for a few staff members as well. We have our main staff parking lot here at the north end of the site. And again, a single way in here. Deliveries will be able to come around the backside, and I'll explain why that works as we get into the floor plans. But you can see a loop road around here, very efficient parking. Right now, there is a road that comes in and out that way, but the way it's set up, there's actually a dead end again at this end. So we're really trying to improve vehicular circulation around the site. We're creating new playground area, the main one here along Monroe Street, and then a couple of smaller ones dedicated near classroom space along White Street. And then with the creation, with the addition, we're creating a nice protected internal courtyard that can be used for non-traditional learning. So very quickly, these are the exterior elevations. I'm not going to spend much time here because I really want you to see this in 3D. But this is a rendering of what the side facing Cheshire Street, this is really the main entrance. So you're seeing on the right what I was describing with parents being able to come in here along the drop off and continue back out to White Street. The vast majority of this is existing, but we are creating a new entrance here, basically reconstructing that whole piece, but really trying to make it work with the architecture of the existing building. It's not on the historic district, historic register, but it's a beautiful building. We're maintaining the use of the brick. We're introducing, a nice historic color, the Hartford green here. And so you'll see as we get into some of the other sides, trying to make it a little bit more of a modern expression, but we feel it really works well with the architecture of the existing, and just feels very historically sensitive. The right side is the addition. You'll see the end of the addition here, and we'll see that a little bit more as we go. So this is kind of pulling around. This is the view looking down Monroe Street. So essentially from about this point on to the right is all existing space, with the exception of a new vestibule here that connects via both ramp and stairs to that new bus drop-off. So if you remember from the plan, we're building the addition along this end of the building, and that's really primarily to expand the gym. Right now, that gym is not large enough for middle school functions to take place in there. So we're expanding it in both directions. I'll show you that on the plans. So what you're seeing here is actually a fitness room, and as we swing around a little further, I'm sorry, I clicked the wrong arrow. So this swings around a little further, and now we're looking really at the end of the addition. So this is facing that main parking lot. You're seeing the cafeteria here and the media center on the floor above. Entrance here for off-hours activities to be able to go either into the cafeteria, to the gym, which is here, or to the media center upstairs. Again, really trying to stay consistent appearance, having the new blend well with the existing building. So very quickly, you'll see there's a big attention to natural light as we went through the design of the project. The environment that we provide for the kids is really incredibly important. Test scores, student performance, absenteeism, teacher retention is all increased dramatically when you have the right environment for the students. So I'm going to take you through the plans. I'll try my best to be brief, and we can come back to anything we want to see. So primarily a two-story building. Part of the building is three-story, as I mentioned. So this is the new vestibule that you saw before, connecting to the bus drop-off. This is the entrance off of the parking lot that, again, you can come right into the gym or into the cafeteria for after-hours events. I mentioned service, drive, and deliveries can come this way to the new kitchen. We have a fitness center here and locker rooms. I'll take you through that in a little bit. Primarily, this is, we tried to really kind of segregate this by grade. So you see the younger students here, the kindergarten, first grade, pre-K are all here. An iGoal classroom works really well. We have an entrance right off of White Street because there's a bus dedicated to those students that drops them off and picks them up there, and that works well. So we wanted to maintain that. What we've done this section, the upper part of the plan is a three-story portion, and we've set that up as our middle school. So 6th grade on this floor, 7th above, 8th above that. The end of our addition here is partially buried, so we thought that's a great spot for our main utility rooms. Easy connection to the utilities coming off the street, but don't have a lot of natural daylight in there, so it's a good spot to bring in utilities. You see art and music here on this floor. They also get repeated on the floor above. And then we also, because this is a large student population, nearly 700 students, we have essentially an auxiliary gym, a multi-purpose, a gross motor space, and you can see that's located near where the younger students are, the kindergarten, first, and pre-K students, so that it's close proximity to them. A few administrative spaces on this floor, assistant principal office and a conference room, as well as space for community partnerships on this level. Okay, going upstairs, you can see we've got the 7th grade classrooms here on this level. Coming in off of Cheshire Street, this is the main entrance. Secure man trap here with a security office right adjacent to it. Main office here with great visual administration of both of the two main streets. We have our nurse suite here, so if a parent needs to pick up a sick kid, they don't have to go very far. It's nice and close. You can see again art and music here, and then you see the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade classrooms comprising the balance of this floor. And then the media center here, again, really trying to take advantage of natural light, so lots of windows along the east and north sides of the building, so overlooking the parking lot. And then very briefly, the 3rd floor you can see is really primarily just the 8th grade as well as the existing auditorium, which is a wonderful space, and we're going to try and restore that back to its former glory. All right, I will try to be very brief through this. So just really quickly, in terms of building systems, it's really all new throughout. So air conditioning, heating, ventilation, plumbing, electrical, fire protection, technology, security, it's all new throughout the building. All new finishes as well, so new flooring, wall treatments, ceilings, casework, furniture. The furniture, because this is a phased construction, we have to be careful on the timing of things. The state has said they want us to do this all at one shot. So as the construction is going on, there will be reuse of furniture as spaces are temporarily occupied, but at the end, it will all be new furniture. And so now I'm going to take you through, we have slides for each type of space. I'm not going to present all of them in the interest of time. It's in your packet. And again, if there are questions, we can go back to it. I'm going to show you a couple of representative spaces. In this case, this is one of the pre-K, this is one of the kindergarten classrooms, but the pre-K is very similar. And this is really for all of the classrooms. We have mobile teacher station and mobile interactive technology boards so that teachers can configure the rooms however they want. Writable and tackable display surfaces. We've got furniture that's appropriate for the ages of the students. All of the classrooms have built-in casework with a sink. For the younger students, basically through 5th grade, we have cubbies in the room. For the older students, 6th, 7th, and 8th, we do have lockers in the corridor. The pre-K and K classrooms have a designated in-room ADA accessible toilet. And then each of the rooms has an operable window, plenty of windows for natural daylighting and dimmable LED lighting. So I'm going to kind of skip over the elementary and the middle school, which are very similar, kind of variations on a theme. We have everything set up so that the teacher station is probably most likely going to be set up on this wall here, so adjacent to the door, so good sight lines for anybody coming past. So you see we have our 2 music rooms, one on the 1st floor, one on the 2nd floor. Each of them has a nice large storage room. The one on the 1st floor actually has a nice practice room adjacent to it as well. The 1st floor is going to be where the drum program, which is very robust at Kennelly, is going to be maintained. It's a good spot for us to acoustically isolate them, because as much as they love the drums, they don't want it kind of echoing throughout the building. As I mentioned, 2 art rooms, again, each of them with their own dedicated storage room. The art room on the upper level has a kiln room and some setups for clay and pottery for the older students. Special education rooms are scattered throughout the building, as are the faculty resource rooms. As we get into the kitchen, the way the school functions now, and they really like it, is to have 2 grades going through lunch at a time. So we've set up the dining area with 2 halves so that we can have 2 grades in at a time. We also have a nice little bonus area here to help, for whatever. If students are performing well and they earn a little special time in a designated area, we think that's going to be a great option. Students be able to come in this way, go to the servery. On their way out, they can drop off their dishes at the return and come out this way so that there's a nice flow. And then we have a dedicated storage room for tables and chairs. Moving into the media center, this is also set up kind of in 2 halves as you come in. This is really a big open area. The first part of it is more soft seating and book stacks. And then in the back is more kind of formal tables and chairs. There's a lot of intervention that's done in the media center for this school, where there's either faculty from the school or they have student teachers that come in. There's a partnership with UConn, so great opportunity for them to do small group work, one-on-one, one-on-two type of thing. We have a large maker space, very flexible, a lot of furniture and outlets that allows for a great amount of activities there. And then a production studio for doing video and sound recording. And then also an area here, which is really primarily for staff to be able to service technology needs for the students, to be able to drop off computer that needs repair. The gym, as I mentioned before, has a dedicated fitness room here, dedicated changing and locker room area, with a couple of toilets, and then a large storage room directly off the gym and the PE office here. And as I mentioned, the multi-purpose space also has a good amount of storage inside. So what's going on right now, as I wanted to mention, is this is being expanded. So right now there's tiered bleachers here, actual physical structured bleachers with a lower area. The fitness room is currently below it. It's not accessible, which is why we're bringing it up here. So we're filling this in, and then we're also adding onto the left side of it. So that's really what's going to give us the space we need to make this a fully functional court for middle school, 7th and 8th grade, sporting events. And then we do have retractable bleachers on the side that shares with the cafeteria. Just a view inside the gym. This is currently today an exterior wall. So because we're building the cafeteria and media center addition on the side, obviously these windows kind of go away, but what we're using is some acoustical panels to replicate the pattern of the window mullions to make it feel like the windows are still there. And in actuality, the windows, the semicircular pieces do look into the media center up above, and a view of that. So this is that large open room I was showing you in the media center, where you see the maker space and the production studio beyond, and then the transoms of the windows still looking down into the gym below. It's a really nice way to celebrate the historic feel of the building. So in terms of where we're headed from here, we talked about this, but I'll reiterate. We're looking at getting the Hartford School Building Committee approval on August 19th, the full Board of Ed approval the next date on the 20th. Again, going into the Office of Grants Administration, the state, on August 22nd. We have tentatively another update with the NRZ on September 10th, and we're hoping again to be in construction in January. So that, hopefully I've been as brief as I possibly could be. It's a lot to explain over about 100,000 square feet of building and a lot of program space, but I'm happy to answer any questions and go back in further detail on anything I might not have covered.
Thank you so much for that presentation. I do have a question. With regards to the landscaping, the outside area, is there an area, I must have missed it, if you did talk about it at all, is there an area for a garden or any type of outdoor gardening for the young people, for the students?
There's not, we don't have one that's officially designated, but I think that this interior courtyard could be a really great spot for that.
And
Yes.
what,
I'm
sorry.
sorry. I
Go
was
ahead.
just gonna add, and certainly it is a part of the Hartford Public Schools curriculum. And so one of these spaces, and certainly currently our principal is super excited about having a courtyard. As you can see, based on the site, most likely it would be within that courtyard.
Okay, and what would the proximity be to the, for example, the kindergarten classrooms, pre-K classrooms?
Sure. So the outdoor classroom is right here with
Mhm.
access directly off of the corridor. As you can see, the kindergarten rooms are right here and the first grade across the hall. Pre-K is a little further down, but they would be able to come this way.
Okay.
We do have, there is a play area designated over here. That could be a spot that we could take a look at for having something closer to the pre-K students.
Okay, that would be a I'm not a landscaper or anything like that, or an architect, but being an educator of young people, I've seen and I know that being in touch with the earth, with the soil, gardening, growing things, plants, flowers, that is very therapeutic, as opposed to just not having something that the students can actually put their hands on.
Okay. Great comment. Thank you.
You're welcome. And let me see. Oh, we have tons of hands up. I apologize. I don't know whose hand went up first. I will call on Ms. Brody. Board Member Brody, you have the floor.
Thank you. I don't know if this is this is not this a question for maybe the superintendent or her team. iGoals program, is that a more than Kennelly students program that's going to be housed there? Or is it specifically for Kennelly students?
Chief Davis Gooch, you want to speak to the zone-based approach to our special education programming?
Yes.
That was central to the DME, the District Model for Excellence.
Mm-hmm. To ensure all students within the zones had a specific programming in certain buildings, the iGo programs are placed strategically around the district within the zones. So certainly not just for Kennelly students, but to serve the entire zone.
Ms.
Thank
Brody,
you. That's what
I
I
don't know.
thought. Yeah, I just wanted it to ground that for new board members. Because I know he mentioned iGoals and they might not even understand like what that is. So I just wanted to get that on the record.
One thing that I will also add is that that was one of the themes, the resonating themes that came up from our community across the city when we were seeking input for the District Model for Excellence and the redesign. It was that special education programming was not available in all of the zones, and our families specifically wanted to have access to those programs within a proximity to their community. So we want to maintain the integrity of those throughout the city.
And Board Member Brody, do you have any more questions, or are you all set?
All set.
Thank you. And now we're gonna give Secretary Mills the floor. You have your hand up.
I do, thank you. So I guess I have two questions, well, 3-ish questions, but two of them are on the same subject. The media center, there's a room that says tech repair. Is that for the maintenance of the equipment that's in the media center, as in for staff to fix, or is it for students?
There's a window here off of there. This is the hallway here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really because, again, we've got nearly 700 students here, and there's a device essentially for every kid. There's,
right,
a Chromebook cart in every class. So this is a place for teachers, students to be able to bring basically hardware too, to, swap out a battery, get a power cord, get it looked at. So yes, this is staff space, but they are maintaining equipment for the whole school, not just what's in the media center.
Gotcha. And then second question in the same area,
Mhm.
I guess I don't know how to phrase this properly, but I like books and I like them when they're physical. Is there spaces in that media center for physical books?
Yes, so essentially the intent is to try and get as much book storage as we can around the perimeter of this kind of pinkish zone. And then you see in here these, now I have to caution you, right now we are focused on the construction package.
Sure.
So the furniture package has yet to be set. What we
But
have
the
here
intent is books.
But the intent, exactly. So what you're seeing here are these mobile bookshelves. So really, yeah, the intent is this is the reading room portion with as much book storage as we can get.
Awesome. And then my last question is around the gym and fitness center. And I think it's just clarifying that you have the gym and then you have like the weight room. Is that my correct assumption?
Yeah, it's right. It's treadmills, exercise bikes, some free weights. So yeah, it's really to be able to bring a class in and teach them a little bit more about physical conditioning, and for the athletes that are participating on the sports teams, it's a way for them to get a little stronger. And
then I guess I do have one more question about the gym now that I see the lines and everything. But I can see basketball. Is the court like, can you split it so you can play other sports like volleyball? I know some
yes.
have that ability. Okay.
Yeah, so the way this is set up, you can see we have obviously, essentially this area is striped for, for full court, and then you see the 4 side courts. We have an operable, or sorry, kind of a rolling divider that comes down from the ceiling to be able to split the room in half if needed. But yes, we also have recess standards to accommodate a volleyball net.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Thank you. Those are all my questions.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And Board Member Walker.
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair Darrell Ledger. So, question, I think for Mr. Wadowski or and maybe Teacher David Scooch. One is just as is laid out. I like the upgrades to the building. Staff parking is really light there. It doesn't look like it's gonna get any better. Is there some anticipated plan for staff parking or visitors coming? Let me just ask about how do we think staff parking is going to be handled in the new bill?
I can start. I will say that in just in general, the Principal Cahill, and our content directors and everyone participates in the space programming. And I will say that Principal Cahill, she lifted that parking is tight just due to where the building is located. So that was like a priority given to the program manager as well as the architectural team, but they definitely had to work in what they had, right? And so I think I will say that I know Principal Cahill was confident that the new spaces would work for her staffing in her building. I'll turn it over to you, Eddie.
Yeah, thank you, Sherry. I think that's a great response. The one thing I will say is, you can see it's a tight site and the building is taking up most of it. And, when you're short on program space and you need to build more square footage to accommodate the students, it just gets even that much tighter. So I will say, we haven't really provided new parking spaces, but what we've really tried to focus on is making them much more usable. As I was kind of trying to allude to in my presentation, is both of the 2 entries into the site right now have dead ends, and there are a lot of parking spaces that are kind of like they're de facto parking spaces, if you will, around this side of the building, but they're really not. You have to make a 7-point turn to get in and out of them. So what we've really tried to do is make it to where they're actual usable spots.
Okay, I see. I have a follow-up question. Maybe for Chief J.V. Scooge. This is kind of about funding, so I'm not sure if it falls on you, but I remember with Wish, we got a surprise that the state thought it was too expansive a project for renovation. This is a similarly old building, so I don't know, is there some confidence that this will go through as a renovation project, or is there some like contingency plan if they say, no, you have to do something other than renovation?
Oh, no, we're past that part of the
Oh,
process.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're past that. When Wish and they were all in a bucket together.
Oh,
and so
okay.
these were approved as a renovation. Mr. Drummond, you can add to that.
No, that's all I would have said anyway, Chief. Thank you.
Mhm.
That we're past that. We went through the motions. This particular project, Board Member Walker, as well as Batanzas, qualified for renovation status. So we were able to receive the status.
Great, thank you very much. Then just as a final ask then, since it's now late flat, can we get maybe post the board meeting, kind of 1 or 2 slider with the timeline so we can share with people as they ask us how the project is going and kind of just something we can kind of just share. I do get an occasional question about this particular school. So, and the other thing that I think would be nice is kind of following Board Member Brody's question, kind of again, like 1 slider that talks about all the programs that exist in the building. So again, we can kind of just talk about it when people ask, like, what's all there? So those are just 2 asks. But overall, I like what you presented.
If I may, Board Member Walker, so we meet once a month for the building committee, and within those building committee packets, they do a pretty good updated schedule as well as a budget. I'm wondering if you could access that document online, that would be helpful to you to share with your community members.
Oh, okay. If I can get, if I have access to that, that's totally good too.
Sure.
That link being shared would be sufficient. Thank you.
Sure. You're welcome.
Also, as I am now on said school construction committee, I am happy to brief you regularly, Tyrone. So we can talk about that later on.
And if I may, I'll just add that that's definitely your previous request about just having a 1-pager. That's definitely in line with the superintendent's ask. So we're working on it, just 1 comprehensive document. I believe when we get to the point of taking a deeper dive on the updates of all the schools with the board, we'll have that document for you.
So I have a question / comment, if I may.
If you must.
If I must. Thank you, Mr. Mills. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
So Eddie, really nice job presenting today. Very commanding. Great work. I just want to be clear and make sure that the fire alarm system in this school is going to meet the standards. So, we are putting speaker strobes in all of our classrooms and throughout the schools, and we are not doing horn strobes. And I want to make that clear. And if we are ready to go out to bid, that we check our 1-line diagrams, we check our written specifications as well as our plans.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you, Eddie.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. We have Board Member Tatum. The floor is yours.
Thank you. My question is for Mr. Wadowski. Could you elaborate just a little bit more on moving the entry point for the buses to the side of the building? I get what you said earlier about getting less congestion on White Street. What struck me is that there'll be a lot of student flow through into the building in an area where, it's very far from the main office of the building and is just kind of around some kindergarten classrooms look like. Was that discussed at all as an issue or?
Yeah, so I mean, the vast majority of students are probably, we say this is the main entrance, but that's really kind of more for the public. That's, I think, parents, visitors are going to be coming in that way. There's a large number of students who walk. I think the vast majority of kids are really coming by bus. So the most people will probably be coming really from this side of the building, we think. So you'll be getting off the bus and again, either coming up the ramp or coming up the stair and coming into the building this way. That's really where they see most of the students coming into the building today. And then, of course, this is a new school, so we have to kind of figure out patterns as we go, but it's also possible, that parents could potentially bring in kids this way and then pull around the lot and come out that way and, be able to come in off of the gym if that needs to be something to help alleviate the congestion of the drop off on Cheshire Street.
Okay, so just so I understand, students are currently, like the bus drop off is currently on Monroe Street and most students are currently
So
entering
the
at that
bus drop
entrance?
off is currently on White Street.
Okay.
So yeah, so they basically, they pull in and they're coming in, through these doors.
Okay.
Now, that's not to say parents can't still pull over and drop people off there, but we want to try and, kind of centralize where they're coming into the building.
Mhm. I guess I just wonder if inside the building at that Monroe Street entrance, there might be more like office type presence, if that's going to be like the main student flow
Oh,
through
I
the
see.
building.
I understand what you're getting at. Okay.
It looked like there was maybe a bathroom right near that entrance or something.
Yeah, so I mean, this is fairly consistent with how they are now. They have people really kind of coming in this area of the building and they don't have an admin area. There is a large number of students that participate in before school and after school programs. And so those are typically taking place in, the gym and the cafeteria. So for that, it works really well.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just checking to see. Oh, Miss Santiago. I see you.
I know. Unusual, I know. I just wanted to let the board know and the viewing public that you will see the Hartford School Building Committee appointment of Corey Mills again on the agenda, because I wasn't aware that as of July 1st, the board chairperson or the designee had to sit on the Hartford School Building Committee. That was not how it was worded. So just to avoid any confusion, you will see it again just to properly, so it is properly worded and voted on.
Thank you so much, Christina, and welcome, Corey. Thank you for your service.
I'm a man of the people.
You certainly are.
Excellent. Just gonna take a look to see if there are any more hands. I don't see any more hands up, so I do believe that we are good. Thank you so much for that presentation. Thank you for the information. And if anyone has, any board members, anyone has any questions, any questions that may come up prior to the board meeting, please feel free to email those questions or concerns to Christina Santiago, and she will get the questions to the necessary people to get those answers. And I believe that is it. And
Sorry, Chief Davis.
I'm sorry.
Yep, just wanted to double back to the superintendent's request earlier regarding Wish School. So Wish is currently in the demolition phase, and Paul, please correct me if I'm wrong about the timeline I'm about to share. But the demolition should wrap up no later than March, and I should say, Scott, please correct me if I'm wrong. Wrap up no later than March. And we are hoping that at that point, we can possibly plan for the groundbreaking. So maybe early spring.
Yeah, I believe that would be appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah, I think at the moment with demolition and abatement activities, limiting public access onto the site until it's really a clean site would be prudent.
Yep. So we'll be back in front of you all to do a update on Betances as well as Wish, I believe in September. So we can touch back to that point then. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I apologize. I didn't let you chime in. And so let me see once again. And are we good with everything? Are we all set? Excellent. So without further ado, I would like to call this meeting adjourned. Thank you for everyone coming and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye now.
everyone.
Thanks so much.